Watch this. It's Bonehead Weekly. So, James, you pitched us an idea.
Well, see, Joe, these kids today, they like to get on the series of tubes, you see. And they like to do this hashtag unpopular opinion stuff. And some people love that. And then I thought, what else has a place in Americana that we should not touch, but we're going to touch anyway? And that, of course, would be
anyone.
Disney.
We're not allowed to touch anyone.
Well, not according. Is it the Divinals that tell me that when they think about me, anyway.
They're not talking to you specifically, bud.
Well, it's just what the radio says. It says when I think about you,
radio
and I
also told you to kill the video star.
I know
Delight. I did, and that's why I'm not allowed in Canada.
I know Delight says the music's in the heart.
Yeah,
which causes arrhythmia, as it turns out. Anyway, no. So I thought, why don't we combine these two trends and try to get trending ourselves? It's not going to work. And do unpopular Disney opinions, where we just say what we think about what Disney should be doing better. Because if there is anything we know, is that Disney aspires to the level of success that we have.
Chad, you go, and then I have several questions.
Okay. Well, no, I was just going to say, God, and then you can go. All I'm going to say, this has to set a record for Bonehead Weekly in the 200 and some odd episodes we've done. This is the fastest we've ever moved into the topic.
Well, hold on. And the reason is because, first of all, we all agree Halloween Kills killed our souls.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we've officially all seen it. But that has nothing to do with Disney. What we're going to talk about today, I have no idea. Because you see, James, when you were pitching this idea, I was like, well, we could talk about the Disney movies that are popular that I don't like. And then I started Googling and kind of researching Disney movies that are popular, or that were not popular, that weren't overly successful. And it turns out there's about a third of those pieces of shit that I really like, and I think people who say that they suck should burn in hell.
Well, there you go. There's your unpopular Disney opinion. So what movie do you think?
Well, I'm going to get started right now with the people who should burn in hell, and they keep shitting on it. They shit on it in documentaries when they're talking about finding sleeping Cinderellas and whatnot. They shit on it on reviews on other places all over the web.
Oh, God, Joe's going to go about Song of the South. Brace yourself.
I've actually never seen. I've only seen. Well, actually, I probably saw it as a kid.
Wait, you've never seen Song of the South?
I cannot remember.
Well, sweet potato pie, and I shut my mouth.
Let me keep going. I was about to blow my own gasket, and that's the only way, gentlemen, I'm getting blown. Now, people shit on this all the time, especially Disney purists, about this being a dark time for Disney. I can tell everyone right now to have a big bowl of suck it. The Black Cauldron is pretty damn good. It just isn't necessarily for everyone. But that is pretty good. Home on the Range, I get it. Sucks a dick. But Black Cauldron is not a bad movie.
I didn't know that was actually an opinion. I thought it actually had garnered more popularity since it came out. I didn't know that people hated it. I actually enjoyed it.
Go watch is it Finding
Waking Sleeping
Beauty. I'm sorry. They shit on that for 5 minutes in that movie. Does anybody
it was based on a very successful book, by the way. It's a fantasy book. Which I mean, but I agree.
James, do you remember what I'm talking about? They're like, and it all went to pot when we got to the Black Cauldron, and everybody.
It literally would be the scene. If this was an episode of CSI, Chad, it would be right before what's his name takes off his shades, and they scream. And they scream the intro song. Wow. They look pretty much. It's the. Oh my God, this thing obviously killed Disney. And then he'd take off the shades and the trailer would start.
Let me start defending the Black Cauldron and admitting that it is not a perfect movie. It is a little uneven and it's tonally dysfunctional in places, but it is far superior to Treasure Planet. It is superior to Atlantis. Other movies that I just don't understand that I know. Well, Treasure Planet was a bomb, but I'm pretty sure Atlantis wasn't. They did.
Atlantis got sequels. I mean, they were direct to video, but yeah.
The problem is it is a dark story. right?
Yeah. My biggest problem, I didn't care for the ending of Black Cauldron, but
I actually don't remember the ending off the top of my head.
but yeah, no, but that being said,
Chad just hates it because people survive, and Chad wanted the demons to win.
It was just too corny of an ending. It was so dark, and then the ending just got corny. But that being said, I still enjoyed it. It didn't bother me.
Which is what I just right. It's
Yeah.
tonally, the tone of it is uneven. It opens with a little and then goes dark with John, with the voice of the big bad, who's
John Hurt, yeah,
it was done by John Hurt, and then it flops a little too much. It's a little like Sword in the Stone in that sense of the little boy kind of not, but it's still, I don't understand why that one's the one that for me when I watch it. I keep picking up Waking Sleeping Beauty, picking on it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful documentary. But it's not the only place I've seen that. I've watched tons of videos where I will try to remember before the end of the show to give him a shout out because they do fantastic. He does fantastic YouTube. I've talked about him on here before about the history of all things Disney, but he even picks on it. Black Cauldron, people pick on it all the time, and I don't know why.
Why do you think,
other
Joe,
than it failed, and the reasons I gave, but
why do you think
it sucked too?
Why do you think that Oliver and Companies get spared that and Black Cauldron doesn't?
But I tried watching Oliver and Company last year. Thank you so much for bringing that shit up. I couldn't make it through it. My kid didn't make it through it, and on top of that, on those lists, it shows up often.
Oliver and Company, by the way, just real quick.
I like Oliver and Company, so
I'm in the middle between you all two then because I like Billy Joel songs,
but my kid couldn't make it through it, and I was bored. So
I like Billy Joel songs, and it's got Cheech Marin going for it.
Yeah,
because if it's the knee to the wall, I mean that's what it's got going for it. It's got good casting for an '80s cast.
Bette Midler's in it too. I mean, yeah.
So. But
like I said, Cheech Marin and Billy Joel.
It's another one of those guys. Google it. It's like the worst Disney movies. Blah blah blah. It's on.
But what I was saying is Black Cauldron gets the brunt of it. I think Oliver and Company gets spared. When in all fairness, I remember Oliver and Company being pretty savaged at the time by people, and Black Cauldron didn't get that I remember. Maybe it did. I just don't remember.
Yeah. So if you go by Rotten Tomatoes, the number 10 is Oliver and Company of the worst Disney movies.
Yeah, I just had I had a hard time. Like the bigger Disney movies, I was never a fan of. It was the lesser ones. I can't say Black Cauldron was on my list because I didn't see Black Cauldron until I was a lot older. But Oliver,
it was in the vault forever.
Yeah,
I can remember that it used to come with when you bought a Disney VHS, it would come with the list, right? It was in one of the papers. And I can remember seeing the Black Cauldron and saying, what is this? Well, I'd like to see this one. And even my parents saying, yeah, that's not been out for a long time, son. You're going to have to wait. And finally they unvaulted it and whatever. Anyway.
All right. Who's next?
Well, I'll follow up, James, if that's okay. Because he talked about a movie that is underrated that gets shit on. I want to talk about a movie that gets praised that I think is crap. Beauty and the Beast is trash.
All right. Well, you're dead to me.
So I am in the middle. All right. I tried rewatching it last October while we were actually thinking about eating at Bell's Castle. And if you're ever at Disney, it is in Fantasyland. It's beautiful. You can go in and see the Rose. It's a wonderful restaurant. But food's okay, and that gray stuff kind of sucks. That's my review. Now, that being said, try and show the kid, and he got bored. Chat.
Yep.
I don't care for it.
I don't care for it.
But James, it is beautiful. So what it is the amount of where they jumped from the Little Mermaid as far as animation and using more computers to do more of the 360 up from here and bring down.
Yeah.
Leap that it made for that. Watching it again, I can appreciate just how well it's made, and it is absolutely beautiful with 2 or 3 songs in it that you just can't get out of your head.
Oh, I can't. I hate all the songs. I hate every single one of them.
Now that I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I don't like Beauty and the Beast. I don't like the song she sings at the beginning. I cannot get into any of the music.
But there's I did that one.
It's like ear piercing to me. It's like me listening to country music on loop. It's the same thing. Sorry, country music listening fans.
Of all the princess films, is probably my favorite, and I think it's because she's not a princess.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get into that in a minute.
And I get probably my second favorite would be Princess and the Frog. But I mean, Beauty and the Beast. To
That's
me
another one that gets shit on that I like.
I like Princess and the Frog. I do not care for Beauty and the Beast though.
But Beauty and the Beast, no, it is probably one of my favorite Disney films.
I think he's
sorry.
I never understand. Yeah. I mean, I understand but I
so
the movie makes it worse. The live action makes the story even.
Oh no. That's it. I mean, I think the reason I like it is that it is probably one of the more realistic in that nobody's really great in it.
No, yeah, even Belle's shit. I mean, that whole song at the beginning where she doesn't want to be a part of the town and she thinks they're all lesser than her. It's just awful. And then Beast,
she ain't wrong.
I know she's not wrong, but still,
all three of us felt a little bit of that.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I didn't have that kind of self-esteem.
Hey,
Joe, desire to be there. You thought,
Hey, Joe.
No,
Chad felt like Gaston. Just let it go.
I can't even pretend to say that I felt like that. No, I felt no. No, and the woman falls
in place. I don't know that she feels that she's better than them. That's that, but out of place. I disagree with that.
It's provincial. I mean, it's provincial, and she doesn't see herself fitting in, and she doesn't fit in. I mean,
I don't concur with that. That
she doesn't
think that makes her a bad person.
It just seems like she doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody in the town other than the guy who holds the books.
Well, the people. By the way, the flip side of that is, who actually probably is the best hero out of all of that, and even he is complicated. Maurice, her father.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's weird as the day is long, but he never talks about leaving the town, even though they make fun of him constantly. And he wants to invent and help people, even though all they do is mock him.
Completely naive and a loser.
And in the live action film, he's the only one whose story arc got of it than I thought. I thought they built his character a lot better than him being the bumbling.
Because it was Kevin Kline.
Well, yeah, that too. But yeah, he was just a bumbling idiot in the cartoon. But in the live action movie, they turned him around and made him into something. But the movie itself is terrible. I mean, also, I just hated the fact that these servants who were abused before they got turned into houseware, they were abused during the houseware, but at the same time, they suddenly go, oh, well, we still love him. And then when they get back to human, they're all supporting him. There's no reason for them to care about this asshole other than him turning around at the end. I mean, just none of it. Just all the movies.
Let me make a quick argument for you, Chad.
The only people I root for in that movie are the wolves.
Of Wall Street?
Yeah. Yes. He watched a very different cut. Anyway, let me make an argument for you there, though. And this is honestly the way I think about it. It's kind of like the ending of The Witch. And let me justify that.
Oh.
What was her option? Where could she go? What else could she do? Right? There's no other choice. They're servants to a royal family.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they have. So they had best. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, Chad. I understand what you're saying, but I'm like, oh God, we served this family forever. What are we going to do now? I'm going to go open a TGI Fridays? No.
Oddly enough, I don't agree with either one of you on this because Chad, see what James is doing here. See, Chad's taking it too much hatred, and then James is like, he's using that old, let's pretend like they lived at a different time to excuse the racism.
No.
Why do you think
it was 40 years ago.
Why do you think I'm taking it? Why do you think I'm taking
Joe, he's the king of pop. The Beast was the king of pop, Joe. What would the king of pop be doing?
All right. Can we all agree that the live action movie's trash?
The live action movie, quite frankly, I'll agree with Chad here. Kevin Kline's cast well. I think Emma Watson's miscast in that. I think there's a lot. I don't mind Josh Gad as LeFou. I don't mind that.
Whoever Gaston was okay. I forgot his name.
Oh, Evan, not Evan.
The guy from Dracula.
Yeah.
Dead and loving it. Leslie Nielsen. Leslie Nielsen's okay as Gaston. And
so can we agree that the live action's trash? I'm trying to get us actually in the middle.
No, I was about to say there's an unpopular Disney opinion I read is that all the live actions are trash and they just need to stop.
Well, I agree with that. They need to stop.
You're not going to stop. You can't.
I know
you can't stop that machine that just prints money.
No, they're not going to stop. But yeah, I agree. I don't like any of the live action movies. None of them. And I haven't seen Lion King, and I don't want to.
I made it about a third through it.
So yeah, but no, I can't agree that I just don't care for Beauty. And my daughter loves it. My daughter is a huge Belle fan, and she loves Beauty and the Beast. And I sit there and watch it with her and get enjoyment out of watching her smile.
No,
But
you
man,
don't.
I wish she would watch something
There's
else.
there's
He's just
worse
telling
ones to
lies
watch.
now. This is the second lie he's told. The first one is that he loved his community and wanted to be a part of it. The second one is
No,
that he was
you're
enjoying
putting
his daughter's enjoyment.
You're putting words in my mouth. I never said I wanted to be a part of my community. I just
Loved
didn't think
his
I was
community,
better than
wanted to be a
them.
part of it. They just didn't want him. And he lived in that castle up on the hill. They threw things. And then this little girl shows up one day. And before you know it, Chad has got some serious internet problems.
All right,
he's in prison.
James, let's move on. What's yours, man?
Well, I'm going to go off of what you all have kind of already said. Actually, this is a good segue to that. You know what I think my unpopular Disney opinion is? They have sacrificed creativity in order to be squeaky clean and continue what they're doing. And let me give you an example of this.
I don't know if I can agree with that one.
Let me give you an example of this. Some of my favorite Disney things used to be the stuff that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you. They're not doing that.
And there's nothing there anymore. In 1929, when we got Skeleton Dance,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was for its time a animated piece of horror. It was great. We get Pinocchio, which has a lot of people still argue has the transformation scene that is terrifying, and the fact that they're beat after they're transformed, it's horror.
Yep.
Fantasia, my favorite part of Fantasia, Night on Bald Mountain, literally demons and all of that stuff everywhere, and they're all going, "Oh, it's great!"
Boring.
Right? We get Sleepy Hollow. It's classical music.
What did you start out with? I just hate Disney. Next episode.
But no, let's be honest with you. It's admittedly out of the three, I'm not as big a Disney fan as you all are. So yeah, no, but no, I'm just joking about that. It actually is the best part of Fantasia. Go ahead, James.
But we get the Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, with the Sleepy Hollow part being the most for me. But I mean, this played some for laughs. But
well, even
Mr.
Toad is dark as hell too.
Oh yeah, and the ride used to be.
Yeah,
remember
what the hell? You could go to hell. James has got to. We're to the
1940s now, but it didn't stop. We got Escape to Witch Mountain, which admittedly they were aliens, but it had some freaky scenes in it. You had Black Hole, which has some really freaky scenes in it. It's not a great film in parts, but it's got some really dark parts to it. Watcher in the Woods. Do you know how Watcher in the Woods was sold to Disney? The guy that picked up the rights for it and sold them and got Disney to pay for it. Do you know how he sold it to them? Mm-hmm. This can be Disney's The Exorcist. He sold it on the fact that it would be dark, and that was 1980. And Disney went, "Oh yeah, we totally need an Exorcist." I don't think that conversation is happening anymore. Which leads me to Something Wicked This Way Comes. Joe, as you mentioned, The Black Cauldron, Return to Oz, and then Mickey Mouse and Runaway Brain, the short that was Academy nominated for an Academy Award, is now vaulted because they say it's too dark, it's too scary. They don't want Mickey seen that way. And then even Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, that scene of them in skeletal form, I don't think we would get that from Disney today. I don't think they're going to go that dark on anything like that again. The Margot Robbie version of Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't know if we're going to get anything that dark out of it.
No, I haven't seen it. I can't attest to it, but isn't Doctor Strange 2 supposed to be the first Marvel horror film? So, I mean, that's kind of
my counter argument to that would be that it is a Disney property, but I don't know how much Disney has to do with Marvel.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they're letting Marvel cash them checks.
Well, I'm not agreeing, but I'm just saying
the same thing with Pixar.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's one of my big unpopular Disney opinions. Don't get me wrong. I like the family stuff. I take my kids to see it. I get all that stuff. But Disney used to occasionally give us that stuff that would... Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer is another one. It had killing. It had people dying left and right. It was, by the way, a joint promotion between Disney and Paramount. One of two films they did. Anybody know the other one?
No, I don't.
Papa. Yeah. Guess which one of those is remembered better? George R.R. Martin even says Dragon Slayer has some of the best dragons, and I forget the other person that argued that it did too. Both of them well known for their love of dragons. I think it's Del Toro. Del Toro said the dragons in that.
Dragon Slayer has some of the best looking dragons. The unfortunate thing about Dragon Slayer is there's not enough dragons in it.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, just to get
so early, it was so hard.
Yeah, just so you know, and to give you we could have had a Del Toro haunted mansion, but they wouldn't give it to him.
That's what I mean. And I think they're missing out on this. And this is going to be a trend through all of my comments, is that they are making decisions now to preserve an image that, quite frankly, didn't exist 10 years ago.
No, yeah. Disney's all about tugging at the heartstrings now. I
disagree with that. Now, Walt himself made a ton of family films that were corny as hell, and called him on it more than once. We're talking about the same company that gave us The Computer that Wore Tennis Shoes and The Shaggy Dog and the Absent-Minded Professor. And when Walt was called on it, his official quote was, "I like corn."
That's true, but he also is the same people. If you watch the behind the scenes making of Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus, he also said, when they said, "Oh, we can make it kind of like a oddity, or we can make it haunted," and he said, "Do both."
Yeah.
So he wasn't against terror. He wanted people to be afraid. He was okay. That was part of the joy of it. And I guess that's my response, Joe, is that they have went so far in preserving the corn, which I agree. I like corn. Popcorn's awesome, especially with the movie. That being said, there were those things that were made when he was alive that had some real terrifying scenes in it.
Yeah.
I mean, even 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, there's some scenes in that
I think
are not maybe not horrific, but they're harrowing.
Yeah, I think Disney's mostly about, like I said, they're either about tugging at the heartstrings or the action, basically.
Yeah, and so that was my point. Is I think Disney has lost out on some opportunities to remind us of how inventive they were. I mean, even in their early, well, here's an example, Joe. The transformation of the queen into the crone in Snow. That's a horror scene.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm disagreeing. I think the company has transitioned several times over the years. I don't think it's all where you say it is. I think it's been ebbs and flows of darker, more creative, and then coming back to the kind of family thing. And as this is my own opinion, but as we get older, most of us tend to mellow. And the movies that Walt was overseeing in the 50s and 60s, specifically in the 60s before he died, is not the same thing as Fantasia in the 40s.
No.
We agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's building theme parks. He's got a choo-choo train around his house.
Yeah.
It's not the same. And then we see darker films later in the 80s from them, like the ones you're talking about. Most of the ones that you just talked about, unfortunately, were what?
Not huge hits.
They were box office poison for the most part. And you got to the point in the 70s where the most uncool studio to work for was who? It was Disney. Nobody wanted to work for Disney.
Well, and Disney for a while was kept alive by those theme parks.
Yeah, and the theme parks and re-releasing those classic films over and over and over for videotape. And once again, I'll give you the name of this later on. As we segue into that, you're talking about the different topics. Something that I know, and we used to work with a lady who complained about the dead parent thing all the time. That's not really stopped. There's still always a dead parent for some odd reason in a lot of these. Am I wrong, gentlemen?
No,
I read a comment. Have you read the comment on why that was?
Well,
why they do that?
Well, real quick, it has led to many conversations with my child about, I don't know where their dad is. I don't know where their mom is. They died. Well, that's what this is. Keep going, James.
Well, the comment. So I read a comment once, and I forget who it was, but by one of the writers in the 80s. And he said, when I started writing here, and I said, it'd be great if because there's very few exceptions, right? Meet the Robinsons, the family is still intact, but that's about.
I mean, there's some Pixar exceptions.
Yeah, but even then, it's single mom, right? Toy Story's a single mom.
Single mom. I know. My kid loves.
Well, I said there's the Frozen. both parents are dead. Oh, Joe, the one that you
Oh,
like.
The Incredibles is an exception,
Well,
obviously.
no, but there's tons of death in The Incredibles, though.
Well,
There's a
no,
lot
but
of
the
death.
family's still alive.
Joe, the movie about the elves that you like.
Oh,
with Chris
Lord
Pratt.
of the Rings.
No, Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. Onward.
Oh yeah, I liked
Yeah,
Onward. Yeah,
that's a dead father.
Sorry,
Big Hero
you're like-
6. Big Hero 6.
is a dead brother.
Dead
Yeah.
parents too. It's the ant raising.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Aunt
that's
Rosa.
right. That's right.
But
so yeah,
so real quick though, the reason so this author, and I wish I remember what
Princess and the
not author,
Frog, dead father.
Yep.
the writer, and I can't remember the writer's name, but anyway, he said when he got hired by Disney, he was originally hired in the 80s, and some of the old crew was still around. He said, "Why is it that the parents never make it?" And he said the writer looked at him, he said the elder statesman, I think is what he called him, writer, looked at him and he was like, 2 reasons, kid. A, no responsible parent is going to let their kid do what we need him to do to make a movie. No parent is going to go, oh, no, you go off and have this stupid adventure where you might die. No parent's going to let that happen. So we got to get him out of the way. And that leads to part B. You grow up awful quick if your family's dead. And he said, and the only way you can have an adventure like that would be worthy of our way of storytelling is if you don't have anybody to watch out for you, and you have to watch out for yourself. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, I don't necessarily like it, but I understand why they do it.
Yeah. So
Mulan is another exception, but she has to get away from her parents to go on the adventure. She has to sacrifice herself officially for her father, actually.
Ray and the Last Dragon.
I don't think there's any parents in that.
I don't know. I don't remember any of the story either. So okay. But back to my story, it is nice sometimes, I'm just saying, to put in something where I don't have to explain so much. I know.
Joe, why don't you just start looking at your son and saying, I don't know, probably something you did. That's what my dad did, and that turned out fine.
I've said several things like that. He also started pretending a game where his mother's dead, and he takes Christy around the house and says, now, do you want to be my new mom? I need to interview you.
Let me know how that's going over. Let me know.
I haven't witnessed.
Hey, mommy, drink this. Mommy, drink this.
Witnessed it a lot. There's not been the same scenario with dad. The only comment I've made is this looks a lot like the old one.
Hey, mommy, drink this. Son, this smells like bleach. No, Sprite.
And then the comment maybe quoting my dad of, you don't trade in the car, get the same car, bud. But yeah, no, I mean, it's not a complaint, but it is definitely a Disney trope.
Yeah.
Dead parents.
Yeah.
They can argue all they want. There's a ton of them. Who's next?
I'm gonna go. So, and I know both of you are gonna bash me on this one, but I'm a firm believer of it. James just said Belle's the best Disney princess. I'm gonna say Merida from Brave is the best princess in the Disney mythos.
Can't climb that ladder.
So, I just love everything about her. She is the strongest of the Disney princesses, in my
Though
opinion.
she tries to kill her mother.
It was an accident.
Sure, it's an accident.
And
After she got caught.
I'm going to have to revisit that because I wonder if I'd like it better now. We revisited Big Hero 6. I was not really over a fan of that, and that was a little bit better the second time.
Yeah, I've watched that a couple of times. I can't get into that one.
Likes it a lot.
But I was like
Big
Joe.
Hero 6.
I was like Joe. Brave when I first watched it, I wasn't overly fond of it, but it Big Lebowski'd me. I went back and watched it a second time, a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth time. Because my daughter.
And now he really enjoys the part where Merida goes, I can get you a toe.
Yeah, my daughters really did like it, and I really like her as a character. Honestly, she's the only Disney princess that didn't need a man to resolve her conflict. She resolved it on her own. And she basically said,
Hold on, let's do it. Let's go ahead and just burn down the last 5 female subscribers. James.
Let me go ahead and just.
Oh God, here we go.
She didn't need her father. Remember, he has to role play her mother.
Yeah.
Plus Chad.
And he has to role play. He has to role play Merida to the mother as well.
And honestly, he's one of the best dads in all Disney history too.
Well, he is because he actually cares.
Yeah.
And
That,
it's not about an arranged marriage.
and
No,
I,
it sort of is.
I don't remember elves being in it or goblins
They're
and
what?
other fantasy elements like the one where you're talking about she fix her own problems without a man.
Oh my god.
Oh
Or
my
the
God!
other
There,
fantasy elf. I was hoping James would do it. I was
no,
hoping James
no.
would do it.
I was
He's
actually
awesome.
pointing out. I was
Elves
actually
and
pointing out that
goblins and ghosts and
that
spooks.
Billy Connolly plays the
spirits.
father, though,
Yeah,
right?
the great Billy Connolly.
I
yeah.
love Billy Connolly.
Yeah, so do I. No, her conflict is genuine and she doesn't want to conform to societal standards. I love that. She's just like, no, I'm not marrying
Hold
either
on.
one of any of these.
So it's
jackasses.
okay when Merida does it, but when Belle does it, she's an outsider and you hate her.
In all fairness,
I
she
still
was
disagree
she,
with what he said about Bill. Fuck them.
she was an ass about that. Ugh.
I just wanted to throw.
I
I
don't
just
understand why that makes him hate him.
No, that's just one of many things. I just don't care for it.
you just hate the French people, don't you, Chad? It's because Belle's French and you just hate the French people. Thanks, Chad.
He
One
won't
thing,
guess
the
that
one thing the Black Plague messed up on, it didn't get every one of them.
Oh my God, there
Damn,
goes.
that's a lot more harsh than what I said.
All right, we've lost women in the French. There goes probably half of our 4 subscribers.
And Jerry Lewis is a piece of shit.
Oh my God.
Oh,
No,
that's okay.
Freud
Raising-
Laven.
I just honestly think she didn't need anybody to save her. She saved herself with the love of her. She love of her
the love
parents.
of a man.
No, she didn't need it. She didn't need it.
I
And
don't
it
remember
just
the
Disney
plot.
always went to that same trope, and Pixar didn't do it with Brave. I just loved every minute of it.
Oh, that's
Especially,
true. We're talking about Disney and not Pixar. Those are kind of two different things.
well, it's still Disney though.
It is,
It-
yeah, but I that's the reason I picked Marvel out before. Those are kind of they're owned by Disney, and I'm not this. For
when-
our viewers, this isn't an argument. It's more of these kind of, I wouldn't say completely autonomous, but they are their own little thing.
Well, they
Right.
existed before. Yeah, I mean,
But
you
at the
got
same
your
time,
Star Wars, your
Merida is
Marvel.
included with the Disney princesses, so that's
She
why
is.
you look at them.
She is, according to Wreck-It Ralph too.
And if you wanted to get really into it, if you wanted to go strictly Disney, I would say Tiana is the best Disney princess out of all of them. So, but I'm still saying Merida's the best one. No, scratch that, because I don't. Moana is the best one out of all of them, even more so than Tiana. So yeah, but no, and if you put all of them, including Pixar, Merida is by far the number one rated.
Number
princess.
one hot. You said hot.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
That is not what I
this
meant to
Chad,
say.
good Lord.
Oh, I'm so glad we recorded it.
Oh god.
Oh, well, anyway, when Chad gets out of prison in 10 to 20,
It's a good thing she's animated.
I did not mean it
Oh, I
that
found
way.
another list where not only is Beauty and the Beast number one, it's more than one list where it's number one.
I know, and I don't agree with any. I don't. That's why it's the most unpopular opinion I have. Is I just don't think Beauty and the Beast deserves the respect that the praise that it gets. I just don't care for it. Never have.
Chad's hatred is the second tale as old as time.
Oh, Moana doesn't need a man.
That's what I'm saying. That's why she's the best. If you want to go Disney,
Moana.
Moana,
Okay.
and then you could be arguing. Well, I mean, no, she. That's
Well,
why she's.
that's an entire rabbit hole you can go down. I mean, does The
Alice
Rock
doesn't need a man.
what's it? Why can't I remember The Rock's name in Moana?
Maui.
Dwayne Johnson.
Maui. Does Maui even exist? Go back and watch the movie. Nobody else ever sees him.
Oh, I know. Yeah, there's that whole thing about. Yeah, I've heard that before. That Maui's all in her head. Yeah.
Which means she's insane. No, I was helped by God. Sure you were, honey. Did you put the rock back? Is the volcano going to kill us now? No? Okay, good. Go to your side. What can I say? But you're welcome.
Who's next?
James.
Is it me?
I don't know. We're just
I-
talking.
I've got one more, or I've got a couple other ones. But another thing that I'm going to pick on Disney for is, I think, and maybe this is my pushback to my other pushback, is that Disney has lost some of what it used to value, in that it would allow horror, it would allow scary things into it that we don't see now. The other side, though, is it's making business decisions in ways that don't make sense. And to that point. So it was announced this week that evidently negotiations with Jared Leto are back for Tron 3, et cetera, et cetera.
Yay.
And listen, let me have my thing, Chad.
But
I like
it's
Tron.
Jared Leto.
I know it, but
He's a really good actor. I just don't care for a lot of his roles.
But anyway, so Tron Legacy came out and made $401 million. Not a huge hit, but it was on $170 million budget.
And it's better than Tron.
Yeah. And it made a profit, and they were like, we're going to do Tron 3. And then two things happened. They released two other films that underperformed. One,
Here we go again.
2010, 2012, we got John Carter, which I didn't know it cost $250 million to make John Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Only made back 284.1. Well, that didn't kill Tron 3, but it put a dent in it. And then what killed Tron 3? George Clooney.
Oh,
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland, and you can go back. I'm not making this up. Look it up.
I still haven't watched it.
Really? I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it either.
Either one of you all seen this?
I wanted to watch it on Disney Plus, Joe, but guess what? It's not on.
Oh, I didn't know it's not on Disney Plus. I'm a little shocked that neither one of you have ever.
I wanted to see it, Joe.
Strong feelings about it.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't know this, but so Tomorrowland.
It's one of his favorite films.
Tomorrowland.
Kevin Smith, for the exact reasons I don't like it.
So Tomorrowland cost $190 million to make, more than they had gave for Tron 3, or were going to give for Tron 3, and was directed by Brad Bird. Well, guess who was also going to be the director of Tron 3?
Brad Bird?
Brad Bird. They wanted Brad Bird to come on because Brad Bird had the magic touch. Because what else had Brad Bird made?
Mission Impossible.
He had made two other films for Disney that made
Incredibles.
Bank. Serious bank. And they thought, oh, well, Tron Legacy relaunched it, got some new fans, not as many as we wanted, but who will make a movie that will bring on new fans as well as keep the old? That's Brad Bird. Brad Bird will be able to do that. When Tomorrowland failed, they lost so much money. They said, we can't afford to risk another sci-fi venture, even though Tron was the most successful one. So they said, and Brad Bird was going to direct it. So we're ditching Brad Bird and we're ditching Tron. And that's what happened. So now allegedly Tron 3 will happen with the director of Tron Legacy, et cetera, et cetera. Now that being said, if it actually happens this time, I don't know. But that to me is a weird business process. You have two projects that failed. You had one that was at least modestly successful. Why would you kill the third part of that because you had two limits?
Well, there's several reasons. I mean, the only reason you have Incredibles 2 is because of Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Or at least of Brad Bird directing it. It's the only reason you have. The second part of it, can I talk about Tomorrowland a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead, because because it killed some other things I want to talk about, or decisions like this have killed some other things that I would have loved to see. But yeah, go ahead and then I'll talk
Brad Bird
about
is an extremely talented. Chad's right. He directed one of the Mission Impossible films on top of the Incredibles. Family Dog, Iron Giant, one of the best animated films of all time. He's extremely talented. However, Tomorrowland, I had such hopes for because it's also written by what's his face from Lost, who was the writer and showrunner of Lost the last 5 seasons. Sorry, I can't remember his name. Do you guys remember like they finding Walt's books and going through the archives and releasing this stuff, and it just got blown completely out of proportion? They had Hugh Laurie, who's one of the best British character actors of the last 30 years, as the villain. You have George Clooney, who I and Chad have both said is one of our favorite movie stars. He really
Cary
is.
Grant.
He is Cary Grant. He is a modern day Cary Grant, and he is an extremely talented person. He's a good writer. He's a fantastic director. He's a pretty damn good actor. How do you go wrong? I don't know. To me, it's a little Ayn Rand. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to hear about your exceptionalism.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why Kevin Smith says it's an unappreciated classic, talking about people and exceptionalism. I don't want to hear about it. I see this shit all the time. Fuck you people. It just has just that it had that Beauty and the Beast Chad Jennings effect on me of fuck you people. First of all, there's not much of a plot here. Second of all, it didn't make any sense. And third, fuck you people.
Is it
So-
is it kind of like the midichlorian thing?
I
don't need it.
Like
I
that.
don't-
It's just honestly, I blocked a lot of it out of memory because it's just not a very well told story either. There's probably a way you would have done it and it wouldn't have bugged me. It's just not a very well told story. So I encourage both of you to see it. Is it as bad as Halloween Kills? Probably not. It does have George Clooney.
Is it better than Army of the Dead?
I remember Army of the Dead better.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
That makes sense.
Does it promise a lot and never deliver?
Yeah, does it-
I think it promises. I think the whole
Does
damn.
it misfire Chekhov gun one after another, after another, after another?
I don't know, but Sulu was there.
Um,
I think that's the second time I've made this joke on the podcast.
hey.
All right, that's my opinion about that. I'm actually
Well-
out of movies to bash for Disney. You guys got any?
Well, no, here's the thing, and this is what I want to talk about because Disney has passed on so many, like Tron 3, whether or not Tron's your thing. Tron 3, I think, would have still made them money. So when they buried it, that caused issues. But do you know some of the other projects that they buried where I was like, oh my God, wouldn't that have been cool to see because of films like John Carter and Tomorrowland? Have you all ever heard of Henry Selick's The Shadow King?
No.
Henry Selick. I know who that is. He's the actual director of.
Monkey
yeah.
Bone.
Well, some people know him for Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, Henry Selick got picked up by Disney. So Henry Selick had a couple more successes after, and so Disney eventually comes back to him and goes, "Hey, we'd like to work with you again." And about 2012, right before John Carter of Mars. And by the way, I love John Carter. I really did enjoy the movie, because it's a classic story. It's based on Edgar Rice Burroughs. That being said, The Shadow King by Henry Selick. Here's a plot directly from Henry Selick's press.
God, every
announcement.
time I know who Henry Selick is. I know I love
Tom
everything he
Selleck. You
does.
want it to be Tom.
I just
Selleck,
keep
don't
thinking of the mustache. Yeah.
you? I knew it. The Shadow King is a magical tale about a 9-year-old New York orphan, Hap, who hides his weird hands from a cruel world. So he has his hands are they're overly long. They're extended. However, a living shadow girl teaches him to make amazing hand shadows that come to life and that he can control. And then and then he encounters a ravenous monster who wants to kill different people, different orphans, and he finds out he has a brother, and he has to learn to control these shadow puppets to protect the brother that he discovers, the other orphans, and stop this monster. And it was going to be done in that same Nightmare Before Christmas style for $50 million. And they canceled it when John Carter underperformed. That could have been a cool movie. One other one that they had a certain Hugh Jackman, who I'm sure went on to do nothing, was going to be a movie called Ghostopolis, which is based on, I believe it's a Japanese manga comic. So anyway, it's about a man who his charge is, if anytime ghosts escape back to the land of the living, he hunts them down and sends them back, kind of a bounty hunter type role. Hugh Jackman is going to play that role. But when something goes terribly wrong and a living boy gets sent over, he has to cross over with the help of a ghost who happens to be this kind of a noir detective type thing, happens to be the ghost of the woman that he loved who died. She helps him cross over to try to find the boy. That got canceled as well. With Hugh Jackman, live action.
Mhm.
I think that could have been a moneymaker. So I guess that's
Did you see Remembrance?
No, did anybody else?
Reminiscence.
How bad it? Yeah, no, say it the other way, Chad. There's a far superior film called Reminiscence that they should see. Far superior, Chad. Far. Is ours?
But anyway,
better?
No.
Really? I thought that was the good one.
It had Rebecca Ferguson in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was.
but anyway, that's what.
And by the way, it's not good. It's so God bless it predictable. It's not good. I was just joking.
But anyway, so I
Is
guess
what
that's I guess that's my unpopular Disney opinion as well, is that if you look at what they canceled, from amusement park rides. Did you know about the Dick Tracy ride that was going to happen, Chad?
No.
Dick Tracy's Crime Busters. They had it planned out. They had the animatronics started. It was going to be kind of like the T-Rex ride.
Yeah.
Except you're going to board a police car and have to go through Dick Tracy's, and they were going to be animatronics, and you're going to actually have to
God, I would have never gotten off that ride.
Right? All these plans, you look them up. I'm not making this up. Dick Tracy's Crime Stopper, search for it sometimes. You'll just get sad and angry because there was a Rocketeer one too.
Damn.
But
weren't quite as successful as they hoped they would be, though.
Hoped, yeah. But they were also more successful than most other things they had on the market because it was a lull in Disney's time.
That's the problem with Dick Tracy, is they thought they had Batman 2.
Yeah.
And
they did
it just wasn't Batman 2.
Right.
It made money. It just and for you all, it came out in 90, the year after, right? I'm almost positive.
Yep.
It came out in 90, the year after. Batman. And they thought they just made that, and that's not what they got.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, so that being said, I mean, that's one of the things that my unpopular Disney opinion, and I love Disney. I love going to the parks. I haven't got to go in about 4 years. But I loved going. And
ain't nobody there.
No, they didn't do anything with that Star Wars that I've heard about. But anyway, that being said, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I've heard is it's an okay ride, I've heard.
Yeah.
That being said, with all that in mind, all the successes they've had, when you go back and see some of the stuff, it seems like they put the wrong emphasis on the wrong place sometimes. And that's one of the examples that come to mind. Because I think, if they have one or two failures that belong to a genre, Tomorrowland, John Carter both being science fiction somewhat, nobody wants science fiction anymore. I don't think that's true. I think they didn't want that science fiction. And I say that as somebody that did enjoy John Carter.
I enjoy John Carter. It's not a great movie. It's just the problem.
The problem is we've seen it all because everybody lifted from John Carter.
Yeah, James, that's part of it. I mean, James is right. It's part of it. And then I don't know. It just doesn't connect.
No. When John Carter is a historic character, it's complicated. Very complicated.
Actor, not a movie star.
No. They could have had me, but I turned them down.
I know I'm a hideous toad. I get it. But there's just some people who got it and some people who don't.
No, you needed Errol Flynn and that, you know what I'm saying? An Errol Flynn type character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, see Taylor Kitsch and Sam Worthington.
Yeah, the only difference is Sam Worthington was in a movie where the movie star was the director.
Yeah.
That's not true, John Carter. The movie star of that movie was the director.
Yep.
And whatever it is, he just has the ability to push and tap that vein of pop culture.
But again, so I mean, my two unpopular opinions so far would be, again, there's just they've dodged away from horror or from anything that could be long-term scary, and then that they've made some decisions following finances where they cut. To me, they, for lack of a better term, they cut off their nose to spite their face, and just dodge certain areas. Whereas I think Disney definitely, well, I mean, they are now, right? They're making great science fiction and science fantasy movies and shows. We see that now on Disney Plus.
Making shows.
Yeah. So they have the potential.
Yeah.
But
no, Marvel's doing that. Chad, do you have anything else?
I got one more, and y'all are both going to shit on me for it.
Well, it's never stopped you before. And I've been eating bran.
I personally, and I'm not a fan of either film, but I prefer this one more than the original. Emily Blunt is a better Mary Poppins than Julie Andrews.
Ooh, no.
Even
I didn't see the end. I didn't even see Mary Poppins the original till after I'd saw Mary Poppins Returns.
You had never seen Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins.
One of my dad's favorite films.
It was one of my mom's favorite too, and I never cared for the damn thing.
I got the advantage of watching it as a 40-year-old man who saw Mary Poppins Returns first. And actually, that's the one thing that I think is slightly better about the original is there's something about her that she just I don't get it. I don't get it. Julie Andrews is a little.
I think Emily Blunt does it better with just slight little facial expressions, hand gestures, or Julie Andrews goes over the top. I don't find and I also don't find the original Mary Poppins all that entertaining. I just never have. I never did. I still can't watch it, even after watching Mary Poppins 2.
Well, that's because it's not about her. It's about Mr. Banks.
And I never liked it. But Emily Blunt, I think she had more charisma on the screen than Julie Andrews ever did. I never could get into it.
Do you think it's, and I say this as somebody, if you've ever read the original Mary Poppins books, Mary Poppins is a terrifying character.
Oh God, yeah.
Like Willy Wonka.
Yeah, or I mean, actually what's probably closer to the book, Mary Poppins, is like Nanny McPhee. Nanny McPhee is closer
thank you. That was the one I was trying to come up with. I was trying
Nanny
to think of
McPhee is closer to the book Mary Poppins than the Mary Poppins on Disney films.
Yeah, because she's not overly attractive, right?
And she's supposed to. I mean, she's almost cruel. Like, she gets the job done, but she is not, and she has powers, but she's not playful. She is not. There is a directness to her. Perhaps a Britishness, if you will. I don't know. But I don't know. It's one of the things that I do think.
And that was one of the biggest jokes about that Saving Mr. Banks, which was just a complete it was a complete cover up by Disney to make a movie that is not true about the actual representation of the author's reaction to her.
It's 2/3 true.
It's 2/3. I mean, she did hate. Yeah, and that I love the fact. Now, what they did right was they allowed that tape to play at the end that is actually her. But and I know nobody else will be interested.
That third act is where it really goes off the rails.
Yeah, exactly.
Because none of that happened. That's true. But if you really want to hear somebody go off on that, Chad, and I haven't managed to build him into this episode, so I don't now. Harlan Ellison, one of the last things he did was a blunt review of that film, and he said, and he worked for Disney briefly. And I
wonder why it didn't last.
He was. You want to know the honest truth why it didn't last? Yeah, I know the story. He told the story several times.
Yeah.
He was on his lunch break, and it was actually, he got hired. I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s. They were kind of in that lull period, and they were like, and they were joking around the lunch table. What could we do to put this back on the map? And he said, "Boys, let's make an adult Disney film." And he did the voice of Minnie Mouse. Doing something you might see in an adult film, and turns out that somebody directly linked to the Disney family overheard him, and he was given his walking papers later that day.
Wow,
that's a true story. That's the story he tells at least. But he said, and that's what he says. He said the last 2/3 of the movie. I mean, he's very blunt. He's very critical of the film in general, because he said, no, the writer had every right to be angry about everything. If she didn't need the money, if she didn't have writer's block, Disney never would have got his hands on it. And then they lied to her.
Yeah.
Because they said, oh, there'll be no animation in it. We'll do it all live action. And she was like, okay. And then they animated a bunch of it. And she hated that. You can read about that elsewhere. But anyway, the only other thing I was going to say, and this is actually when I pitched this idea, I said this, but I love Dick Van Dyke. Don't get me wrong. Diagnosis Murder. Was it the greatest detective show of the late 90s, early 2000s? No. But
Cosby's Mysteries was.
Matlock.
But everybody, because
everybody
of Mary
just gleamed
Poppins,
right over my comment.
No, Murder She Wrote.
No, it was Matlock.
He gave me a pudding pop, and I've not been able to remember the last few hours. My dad actually,
by the way, Chad, my dad actually loved the Cosby Mysteries. He was so upset when it got canceled.
Oh.
But anyway,
he's getting free pudding pops.
But Dick Van Dyke is always linked to Disney now. Everybody's like, oh, Mary Poppins. Dick Van Dyke didn't work for Disney that much, because like everybody thinks Chitty Bang Bang, but that was MGM.
Right.
And that was actually the only time the Sherman Brothers worked for another studio on a major project, because they did the music for it. Anyway, that being said, I don't know why, and again, I'm not taking anything away from Dick Van Dyke, but why he gets all this Disney street cred now, when the real OG, and even Disney admitted it, because he was the first person named a Disney legend when they first started that process. The real Disney legend, the first legend they named, was Fred McMurray. And
Yeah.
that is probably that's an unpopular Disney opinion today because people don't remember Fred McMurray.
I agree with you.
But Fred McMurray was the backbone of live action Disney for quite some time.
Yep.
The Shaggy Dog was the first movie he did. There's a movie that's been remade at least 3 times.
Fred McMurray, Haley Mills, and Dean Jones, and nobody talks about the 3 of them.
Yeah. I was going to say, Dean Jones, you say.
No. But, right?
No.
Fred McMurray, Haley Mills, and Dean Jones.
They saved Disney's live action bacon outside of nature films. Nature films were their own thing. But no, you're absolutely right. So Fred McMurray, if you've never, I don't know how you would never have seen him, but the Shaggy Dog, the original one, and then he played the absent-minded professor. He came back for the sequel, The Son of Flubber, Bon Voyage, Follow Me Boys, The Happiest Millionaire, and Charlie and the Angel. And by the way, Charlie and the Angel, speaking of a dark plot line, that's about a father who gets told by his guardian angel, hey, you've got about a week to live. And use it wisely. So he tries to spend as much time as he's a businessman who pretty much he's Mr. Banks. He works all the time and he realizes, I've got to make things right. That being said, Fred McMurray is a Disney legend that people have just seemed they've forgotten. And I agree, Joe. Dean Jones and Haley Mills are the other ones because you don't have.
I'm gonna call you all out. You're missing one.
I'm sure I am.
Edwin.
Oh, yeah.
And Edwin is a great character actor that no one remembers. No one talks about at all. No. I never hear the name. And I think most people, probably 25 or 30 and above, if they saw Edwin for 2 minutes, they would go, "Oh, that guy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was most notably, if you all don't know who Edwin is, he was the Mad Hatter. And he was also the uncle from Mary Poppins. He's also in, Alice and Babes in Toyland. I could go on.
He's also the guy that sells the watch to Haley Mills with the scratch on that darn cat. That's right, folks.
He brought it all the way back.
Cat.
Well, and then you have actually, and who is the guy that is the voice?
We gotta wrap it up soon.
I don't know. There's one other one I want to give credit to that is also, as far as the voiceover work, is a legend, and I'm blanking on his. Oh, Phil Harris is another one that doesn't get the credit that he deserves, but he probably should. If you're blanking on who Phil Harris is, kids, he would be one of the people that during his lifetime had 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He would be the voice of Little John in Disney's Robin Hood, Baloo the Bear in the Jungle Book, O'Malley in the Aristocats. I could go on. And later on in life, after Disney kind of got done with him, he is the narrator for Don Bluth in Rock-a-Doodle. That didn't get him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But if you watch any of those Disney cartoons from kind of the late 60s through the 70s, Phil Harris is going to do a voice in it. He's going to be a bear or a cat or something, but he's going to be doing some voice work.
Yeah. All right.
So those are the legends that people forget, and I just wanted to talk about it. There's an unpopular opinion. No offense meant to Dick Van Dyke, but
a popular opinion I have is how they do the parks now, but we're not going to get into it because it's really not part of the show.
Oh, well, Chad, I want to see if I can set Chad off real quick. Chad, do you know why they quit Rescue Rangers and all those shows at 65 episodes?
No, why?
They used to be policy. They got offered more money to make more Rescue Rangers and turned it down because children's shows used to only require 65 episodes for syndication. They would cancel them and close it out. That's why they stopped DuckTales. It used to be their threshold, 65, and we're done.
Yeah.
And so if you're like me and you think, why did we ever stop getting those classic 80s Disney afternoon cartoons? It's because 65 gave them syndication, and that's all they
I'm only quasi not looking forward to the Duckwing Duck reboot because I just know it's not going to be the same.
Duckwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck reboot.
Did you watch the DuckTales?
I didn't see that. No, I haven't watched the new DuckTales yet. I need to.
Go and watch it because it's in there.
I know
you'll see it. No, but the way they do it and the way they build Negaduck and all that stuff, It's
Uh-huh.
actually pretty well done. I mean,
All right.
you're gonna be it's gonna be like meh, but then you'll be like, it's okay, it works out.
Okay.
All right,
I'll
guys.
eventually get to it.
It's pretty much the Wonder Man origin of DuckTales.
Oh, okay.
This has been Bonehead Weekly. Subscribe, tune in, and get some people to just get our numbers up.
Yeah, comment for God's sakes. Just comment.
Please.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can say Chad sucks, and we'll be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I won't argue.
I mean,
I've got a fragile
Bell
ego.
would never touch him or talk to him.
Yeah.